I'd like to provide my thoughts on the capital proposed budget, specifically the county campus plan. This is probably one of the most expensive capital projects in the history of Montgomery County, and I would like to point out a few things. At this time last year, when we had our budget proposal and enacted the 2018 budget, the 5-year plan for the county campus construction amounted to $271 million. This year, 1 year later, the 5-year plan is now $406 million for the county campus plan. So that's a difference of $134 million. To me, that's alarming, and it's getting expensive. And back in the spring, I believe this was March 20th of 2017, right on the front page of the Times Herald, campus project moves forward, $281 million redevelopment aims to modernize the court and county facilities. So in this article, it breaks down how we're spending our funds on the county campus project. It explains that $16.1 million goes to Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill, LLP, and that's for architecture, design, and engineering. $5.1 to Skanska for construction management services. $3 million to One Montgomery Plaza security project update, which was adding elevators and security to this building. $25 million for the One Montgomery Plaza facade project, the new exterior, and a $220 million Justice Center, which was supposed to begin spring of 2019 and end in the summer of 2021. And then a $33 million One Montgomery Plaza interior renovation. So it breaks down all the expenses. In my opinion, we should come up with a number and stick with it and stay within budget as best as we can. Now the fact that this county campus project grew substantially is very concerning because I don't think it's sustainable moving towards the future. We're taking a lot of borrowing out to pay for this, borrowing money, and it will not be sustainable. And I've done everything I can as commissioner to pump the brakes on spending related to the county campus project when I see it getting out of control. And it started with the contract with Athenian Razak, which was an outside consulting firm that started the process and the concepts that go behind the county campus project. And when I was commissioner-elect, I sat here in the audience in December of 2015, and I saw a presentation by Athenian Razak where they went over the county campus project, and the contract with Athenian Razak was nearly $1 million. And they had graphics up on the screen with the county campus and who would move to the county campus, which county departments, which employees. Specifically pointed out adult probation moving from Ross Road in King of Prussia to Norristown. Multiple graphics. Adult probation moving to Norristown. They weren't quite sure where, but there were different options. And I became commissioner, and then July of 2016, about 6 months later, there was a contract amendment for $86,000 with Athenian Razak because they did additional work related to the relocation of the adult probation office, again moving from Ross Road in King of Prussia to Norristown. And I said, hold on a second. There was a presentation a few months ago where they were already studying where to put adult probation. But all of a sudden there was a panic because our lease term was ending at the Ross Road location, and we didn't know where to put adult probation. So what was originally a $937,000 contract with a consulting firm went up $86,000 6 months later because they didn't know where to put adult probation. And I opposed that contract amendment because I didn't think it was fair, and I thought it was within scope and agreement to the current contract agreement we had with Athenian Razak. I also opposed the One Montgomery Plaza security update. Again, that's the elevator project and security check-in in this building. It was over $3 million. I thought we should have worked with what we had. We have existing elevators. I thought there were ways to reface existing elevators instead of adding new elevators in the parking garages of this building. And if those of you who were here, you probably remember I also criticized Ban the Box, which was an initiative to remove the checkbox on county job applications So applicants no longer have to check off if they have a prior criminal conviction. So we're spending over $3 million securing the building, but we're removing a checkbox on job applications so that people don't say whether or not they had a criminal conviction, which makes no common sense. And the third thing I've opposed was this year was the reskin project of One Montgomery Plaza. That was $23 million, and I said how there's been a focus on this for over a decade, and I was disappointed in the lack of response we had from outside firms to do the construction work. And it was broken down into three categories. General contracting, we cast a net for RFP to 507 providers. 4 responded for general contracting. For HVAC, 507 were casted, 1 responded. Plumbing, 501 were casted, 1 responded, and 500 were casted to electrical, and 1 responded. So I made a motion on the board to re-advertise the RFP in hopes that we would attract more competition, because I don't think 1 response is acceptable when you're spending $23 million reskinning the facade of this building. So I oppose that. So every time I see that things are getting out of hand with the spending related to the county campus project, I try to pump the brakes. And now there's something lingering in the air, which is enacting a project labor agreement for this construction project. I've received, it appears to be a very orchestrated effort, numerous letters since this summer. Democrat Senator Bob Casey sent me a letter urging me to enact a project labor agreement. By the way, every letter says $270 million Justice Center. Tom Wolf, our governor, asking me to enact a project labor agreement. State Representative Matt Bradford asking me to enact a project labor agreement. Mary Jo Daley asking me to enact a project labor agreement. Also received multiple letters from labor and trade unions, AFSCME, Council 13, asking me to enact a project labor agreement. SEIU as well, and local union number 98, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. So I researched a project labor agreement, and I've come up with no positives related to a project labor agreement, only additional costs. And it's proven, it cannot be disputed, that project labor agreements, when enacted, run cost up about 20% higher than it should be, and it excludes 80% of the construction industry. So we're already having challenges getting outside firms and construction companies interested in doing the work here. I pointed out with HVAC, plumbing, electrical, 1 response for the RFP for the exterior facade, 4 responses for general contracting. We're already challenged there. So now we would exclude 80% of the construction industry and drive up costs. And there's multiple projects around the region where project labor agreements were enacted, and they were a total failure. One was the Northeast Extension project on the Pennsylvania Turnpike between Norristown and the Lansdale exit. I believe in that case, going northbound, the construction work wasn't a project labor agreement. Going southbound, it was. Turns out that the project labor agreement side of it took longer than the other version and more expensive, and the northbound company doing the contracting had to finish their job. It was a disaster. Scudder Falls Bridge led into additional costs and a lack of competition in the bidding process there. That's another project we can look at. And it adds additional legal costs because it opens up the county or whatever government body into challenging the legal side of this as well, because it excludes such a large portion of people bidding on work. And in Plymouth Township, the Township Council there is currently in a lawsuit over a responsible contracting ordinance very similar to this. West Norton Township is currently in a legal lawsuit over this, and as well as the Colonial School District. All those government bodies are attracting new additional costs because of the legal impact it had on there. So I'm doing what I can to stay in a budgeted amount that's reasonable. When I go out and I speak at whether it's a Chamber of Commerce or a Conversation with Commissioners town hall meeting, and I provide an update of what's going on at the county campus, And I round it up and I say we're approximately spending $300 million on the county campus. Their eyes widen and they're in shock that we're spending $300 million here and to build a new Justice Center, and the number keeps going up. And for me to support this, I need a guaranteed commitment that a project labor agreement will not be enacted. I'm not sure whether or not that's the plan of the majority of commissioners, but I want a guarantee, and I want that number of the construction for the Justice Center to be as close as 281 as originally planned as possible. It's getting out of control. So I'd like to support the budget. I'm not there 100%. I'll vote to move forward with this being proposed and to receive public feedback on this. But again, the cost of the Justice Center in particular is getting outrageous, and we're not building the Taj Mahal. We're building a Justice Center. And when I asked about this leading up with staff to this meeting, I was told originally we weren't sure how expensive it would be to build the Justice Center. We weren't sure, again, which employees and departments would be located in the new Justice Center. People would move from Montgomery Plaza over there. People would move from Health and Human Services on DeKalb Street over there. So even if we get out of our lease agreement with the Health and Human Services building, that's $34.5 million for a 15-year lease. It pales in comparison to the cost of this building. So again, one of the most expensive projects in the history of the county. The cost does not stay contained. It continues to grow. And what was once supposed to be $281 million has gone up to $134 million increase. And I want guarantees that we're going to not have a project labor agreement and that the size, scope, and cost of this building will be scaled back down. So that's my thoughts related to the county campus project.